My name is Richard A. McMenamin II. It's time to go to the public, and I'm reaching out to the logging community on this issue. And you'll find out why here. In 2021, I filed a federal lawsuit against the state of New Hampshire, including my son's mother. My two sons are only 6 and 9 years old now. In 2019, I began reporting violent abuse upon them by their mother. I couldn't stop her. Physical attacks. What she was doing to them, I've outlined in another video. And you guys can refer to that. In 2021, I had to file a federal lawsuit to continue to try and protect them. They're still at risk. And that lawsuit was against the New Hampshire DCYF, the New Hampshire DHHS, and the mother herself, because she became a state employee of the DHHS after I reported that I could no longer protect my children from her. They hired her. Once they hired her, she got into that office and retaliated against me with people she made friends with. One of the things she had done was designate me somebody who'd given my children up for adoption. Even though they still primarily lived with me, she was coming to get them on a weekend sometimes. I had no rights to them anymore. She was able to do this not only through the DHHS, but also through the New Hampshire family court system and judges. 2 months after I filed that federal lawsuit against the state, New Hampshire Fish and Game officers attempted to murder me and my son on a road right out in front of our house with a pickup truck. License plate number was F22. Less than a year after that, a federal witness, a key federal witness in this case, was murdered. A 25-year-old mother who had worked at the DHHS and knew of the frauds and potentially more with the DCYF. She was murdered in her own house with her 1 and 4-year-old little boys. The Fish and Game attempted to kill us with that pickup truck, F22. I was on the side of the road with my son. He was on a bike. I was walking, and he come around the corner. Now, this was 15 minutes after the Gilmanton police, who were identified in the case, heavily identified in the case, as contributing to the abuse of my children. 15 minutes after they were seen going off in the direction of where this truck come from. Here they come. He come around the corner sideways. He was only about 250 feet from us. And then he just stepped on the gas and came right at us. I tried to stop him. I thought about stepping in front of the truck, but he would have just killed me. I hollered to try and stop him. He aimed that truck right towards my son. I yelled at my son, and he heard me. And he looked up and saw that truck, and he ditched his bike before the truck could hit him. He went right down in a tangled mess of his bicycle so that truck wouldn't hit him. I called. The Fish and Game guy just kept going. The one thing he did, about 100 or 200 feet past my son, he put on his brakes then because there was another car coming. A witness. When I called to report it, a young secretary in Concord seemed to know what was going on. She put me in touch with a sergeant. I didn't get the name. I said, your officer almost hit my son with his pickup truck. And he said, which son? I said, my young son. Then he started giving me facts of the scene that I wasn't telling him. How far up the road my son was from me, what side of the road we were on. And then he mentioned the lawsuit that I filed. And he said, "We own the road, and we'll do it again." He said that multiple times. Less than a year later, a witness who the state had been trying to withhold evidence on, and a federal judge allowing them to withhold this evidence, that witness was murdered, along with her 1- and 4-year-old little boys, in their home in Northfield. The case progressed, and as it progressed through a family court in Laconia, New Hampshire, and then the Supreme Court, they kept pulling out resources because I'm trying to protect my children and they were hiding something. This is what they were hiding. This is court record from a 2-day trial in 2021 at the family court building to the right in Laconia. The judge's name is Michael H. Garner. This is court record of testimony from the second day of that trial. And within that testimony, there was a man named Ralph Morin from Campton, New Hampshire. He's supposed to be a child advocate in these courts. They call him a guardian ad litem. For 25 years, this guy's collected a lot of federal funds on this. Mr. Morin implicated himself in that testimony to being involved in the rapes of children at the Sununu Center for 25 years. By his own admission, he disclosed his own involvement of those children's abuse. Not only there, but within the DCYF system, wherever these children may have been housed. The judge altered the testimony to remove those portions by Ralph Morin. I know this for a fact because a transcriber in Arizona contacted me and told me that these records had been altered. What they did, the judge, the clerk, and the attorney, because my son's mother has had a free attorney, nearly free attorney, for 4 years now. They took 7 hours of testimony and broke it up into 8 pieces so they could remove pieces. That's what this is. This is proof of that. The transcriber told me that. I got the audio tapes and found out which pieces they took out. And the pieces they took out were mostly of Ralph Morin's involvement in these sexual abuses of children. There was also threats made to me by him and the judge. They were taken out. There was references to a girl that I had raised for 25 years. I considered my daughter. Haven't seen her since. The judge's name, Michael H. Garner, couldn't have done it without his clerk. His clerk's name is Wanda J. Loans. And the attorney's name, who's involved in it, is Catherine V. Lacey, set up about a block from the courthouse. Her and all her friends. Previous to Morin's testimony, I had a private interview with him where he expressed his sexual relationship with teenage boys that he was appointed to. Those teenage boys were in Rockingham County. This Judge Garner is in Belknap County. Also in this testimony removed was the mention of a judge in Berlin by Morin. That testimony, which ran true to the same dialogue, was removed. This is dangerous stuff. Very dangerous. The murders of federal witnesses, the attempted murder of me and my son, both of us were federal witnesses at the time. We still are. As previously mentioned in a prior video, the Gilmanton School's involvement in this is bizarre, because they may not even know it, how much they're involved. The DCYF's involvement in the school has connected them to the police, the Gilmanton police, and this case. This is a murder case. And these teachers who are committing abuses in the school, who think they're getting away with it, they're a great liability to someone out there. A great liability. This is not funny. And there's 350 children that go to that school. Morin said when he disclosed to me his sexual relationship with teenage boys, he expressed that it was okay for him to do this because he was beaten and molested in a Catholic school when he was younger. Something needs to be done here. There's a lot of people involved. A lot of people involved. One of the attorneys from the Attorney General's office is involved in it. She knows that this is going on. She just withdrew from the case. Probably with good reason. She knows that there was an attempt on our lives by Fish and Game. She knows that these federal witnesses were murdered. She knows that I have evidence against these judges. And she takes off after wreaking havoc with me and my kids in federal court. It's not a matter of wreaking havoc. It's a matter of their connections. As soon as the federal judge found out about the murders, he dismissed the case. This woman's name, this attorney from the Attorney General's office, her name is Laura Devine. She lives in a multi-million-dollar neighborhood, Dover Point, New Hampshire. When you get attorneys in the Attorney General's office involved in this, this is very, very serious. Very, very, very dangerous and very serious. This woman has 2 children of her own, and she's protecting judges that are raping children? Something needs to be done here. Logging community, people in New Hampshire, there are lawmakers that are involved in this and their knowledge of it. I believe it's too much of a liability for them to do anything about this. But something needs to be done. You know, if this guy was 67 years old and he's still sexually abusing children, they're not going to stop. They never have stopped. 25 years.